in unison. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also on the BBC Sounds app, and once again we are the home and remain the home of live Premier League football. We have more commentaries than any other UK broadcaster. It's our usual Saturday goal service. We'll keep you in touch, and don't forget, our Sunday best of 5 Live Premier League Sunday will be unrivaled throughout the season. Bournemouth are playing from left to right as we look. Sheffield United in all white look for an early ball towards McGoldrick, and McGoldrick forces a save out of Ramsdale. That was an early chance in the opening 40 seconds. Ball over the top, McGoldrick's onto it, right-footed shot, and the keeper on his debut, all in yellow, diving away to his left.
Oh, it was a fantastic opportunity. We see John Lundstrom get the ball, he plays it early on the shoulder, he pulls off Chris Meppen. There's David McGoldrick, but out comes the goalkeeper to his left-hand side. It's a great stop early in this game, but what a fantastic opportunity for Sheffield United.
Aaron Ramsdale signed for £1 million from Bramall Lane in January 2017, making his first appearance for Bournemouth. Wimbledon fans will know him well. Short, fair hair, all in yellow. Short sleeves as well, with his blue gloves to match his bright blue boots. And he did well for Wally Downs' side as they survived relegation from League One last season. I think it was like 9 clean sheets in the last 12. He made 23 appearances in total, and in terms of his confidence, to make such an important save so early on, that'll be good news for the youngster.
It'll be a great confidence booster for him, just as you're thinking, and so as a player there, you're thinking the worst. You see people coming at you. The goalie's probably got to do better. It's very, very windy out there, so give him the benefit of the doubt, but a great save by young Aaron Ramsdale.
0-0. BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app here at the Vitality Stadium, keeping in touch with the goals as they go in. Leeds United 1, Nottingham Forest 1 was a result in the early kick-off at Ellen Road. Grimsby Town 1, Bradford City 1 was a full-time score in League 2. That got underway at 1 o'clock. And in the Scottish Premiership, Celtic beat Motherwell by 5-2. Basham plays the ball long. Ake cuts the ball out. Since Ake joined Bournemouth in 2017, he started every Premier League game.
It's an amazing return. That obviously does something in his preparation. Just watch him before the game, going across to the gym, doing that type of prep, and that doesn't come easy.
Sheffield United play the ball across the back. They were trying to play it out towards Ender Stevens on this near side, the left. Billing plays it early. Adam Smith nicks it away then. Adam Smith continues to run forward into the penalty area, looks up, pulls the ball back just over the head there of Callum Wilson. There's appeals for handball as the ball is then cleared by Sheffield United. Did a two-way with an interview with the World Service earlier today, the BBC World Service. I said I was expecting goals. Both playing with 3 at the back. Both are going to get the wing-backs pushing forward, as we saw there with Adam Smith. You watch now the curse of the commentator. It'll be 0-0.
That's two great early opportunities there from wide areas. You're seeing Adam Smith. He wants to get forward in good delivery as well, but they just couldn't make anything from it. That's what Sheffield United have got to be careful, that counter-attack in these wide areas.
Steve Cook at the heart of the Bournemouth defence. Ake collects the ball. Let's go to Crystal Palace, Everton. Will Perry, there's been an early chance there.
Yeah, early chance for the visitors. Still Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, but the work down the left-hand side from Dina, cross into the box. It was flicked on the header by Martin Kelly, and there was Gylfi Sigurdsson on the penalty spot. Bobbled his shot wide. Deno, it is so windy here. I wonder what part that will play. Palace 0, Everton 0.
Yes, it's certainly windy here on the south coast as well, but it is brightening up a little bit. Sheffield Wednesday, by the way, have taken the lead at home to Barnsley in the South Yorkshire Derby. We'll get news of that goal when we can, but Adam Reach has scored. So Sheffield Wednesday 1, Barnsley 0. Ake over on that far side. Fraser makes the run forward, and Fraser will get there before Basham. Basham, who used to play in the top flight, of course, with Bolton Wanderers. Fraser delivers the low ball. That was blocked on that far side by George Baldock. And Norwood will win the ball back. Let's get news of that goal then, of that Sheffield Wednesday early goal with Lucy Ward.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrific start from Sheffield Wednesday. A misplaced pass from Barnsley in midfield, pounced on by Kadeem Harrison, then finished by Jacob Murphy on his debut on loan from Newcastle. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Barnsley 0.
Thanks, Lucy. West Ham United 0, Manchester City 5 in the early game in the Premier League. Liverpool, of course, last night winning 4-1 at Anfield in the first of our 140 commentaries. 140 live Premier League commentaries this season, more than any other UK broadcaster, and 5 live Premier League Sunday tomorrow. Newcastle, Arsenal and Manchester United, Chelsea, with our correspondent John Murray joined by Andy Townsend. So 4 to begin with on this opening weekend. 0-0 here at the Vitality Stadium as the ball just runs away from McGoldrick. And now coming back on this near side was King, off his chest, lays it back towards Adam Smith. There's a foul there on Adam Smith, and that will be taken by him. He plays the ball back, and Mepham will stroke it towards Steve Cook, who plays in the centre of those 3 central defenders. Gets it back from Diego Rico. Does Nathan Ake on that far side, and Cook once again, they're being patient as the sun now breaks out, which is always a welcome addition to any football stadium on the opening day of the Premier League season. Oldham Athletic lead Crewe by a 0-0 at Boundary Park in League 2. Smith waits to take a throw. Billing shows himself, the new signing from Huddersfield Town, but he goes back. And Mepham, the Welsh international, across to Ake. Seeing that they're playing the ball quite a lot at the back, aren't they? And at the minute, Sheffield United are keeping their shape very, very well, and quite happy, it seems, to allow Bournemouth to have the ball in that area of the field.
They are happy with that, but I think what you've got to be aware of, Josh King on this right-hand side in front of us, and Fraser on the left, they're occupying Sheffield United's back 5. They're bringing their wing-backs, round on cover, which stops allowing to get out. That's what they like to do, Sheffield United. That allows Bournemouth just to control possession early on in this game.
That's Michael Brown, who didn't probably eat many donuts when he made over 150 appearances in his 4 years at Sheffield United as a player. Very popular player he was too at Bramall Lane, part of our commentary team here, and he remains popular despite sticking that donut in my bag ahead of the kick-off. As Rico now collects the ball over on that far side and plays it inside. Now Bournemouth advance downfield. They're midway through the Sheffield United half as Fraser comes in off the left touchline, about 10 yards in, plays it back to Lerma. Lerma waits for a moment, actually put his right foot on the ball, but Sheffield United have every white shirt back behind the ball, and Bournemouth are forced to go back. Mansfield 0, Morecambe 1 is the latest score also in League 2. Mansfield 0, Morecambe 1, as now it's with Adam Smith, touches the ball inside, back to Lerma. Billing waits, closed down by Lundstrom. Billing though will run forward away from Lundstrom, and then a complete misplaced pass there, an aberration there from Billing. Not too sure who he saw there. I mean, that was an unforced error, but he was about 10 yards behind his intended target.
I've got to be honest with you, I was just about to say how comfortably he looked in possession, how he was confident, he was taking the ball, and then he obviously thought Adam Smith was to the right of him and just caressed the ball out of play to where nobody was. Very strange decision.
Hull City managed to hang on to Jared Bowen and in the transfer window, and Hull City through Bowen have taken the lead at home to Reading by a 0-0, and Preston North End have just scored 2 at home to Wigan, also in the Championship. Bournemouth are attacking with Adam Smith. Gets it back there, does from Josh King, plays it forward. Wilson stabs it off and gives the ball away. Let's go to Turf Moor. Juliet Farrington.
Southampton made a really good start here. It's Burnley 0, Southampton 0. Southampton have got a corner, but Che Adams on his debut went oh so close to a goal inside 2 minutes of this game. Got his boot to Valerie's cross. It was a brilliant cross at the far post, but Adams just couldn't control and put it wide. It's Burnley 0, Southampton 0.
Gillingham lead Burton Albion by a 0-0 at Priestfield in League 1. No goals as yet in any of the 3 o'clock games in the Premier League. Manchester City in the early kick-off beat West Ham United by 5-0. Match of the day tonight, back 10:30. Joining Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Ian Wright. And when you think of the BBC Sport website as well, it has news of every game and all the latest scores as well. The BBC will certainly keep you fully abreast in this new season, whether it be TV, 5 Live or indeed the website. As Sheffield United venture downfield, McGoldrick looking to play the ball out towards George Baldock on that far side. He'd got forward for Sheffield United. Clearance from Bournemouth, brought down off the chest by Basham, then played forward. And now it's with Lundstrom. Lundstrom curls the ball in from the right, edge of the penalty area, headed away by Mepham, picked up by Fraser. Fraser head down, runs forward, direct running, strong running by Fraser. Fraser feeds it to Wilson. Wilson looking towards King, and it goes past him and will run out of play for a goal kick. That was the first real opportunity where they've had an area to attack, and boy did they do that with Fraser.
Well, just as Sheffield United had some possession down the right hand side, they go to deliver early, but that's where Bournemouth set the trap, and they were very, very quick, counter-attacking with Fraser right through the heart of Sheffield United's defence. He plays it out wide right to King, and then nothing on the end of it, and the ball runs out of play. But Watford, they're looking dangerous. That's what they've got to be careful of.
Simon Grayson started well back in his second spell in charge of Blackpool. They're leading at Southend United at Roots Hall in League One. Southend 0, Blackpool 1. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. We'll go to Vicarage Road now. Sahel Sahi.
Well, we've played 10 minutes here and it's Watford 0, Brighton 0, but the first half chance has fallen to the visitors. Jurgen Locadia with a right foot shot inside the penalty area, easily saved from Ben Foster. Watford 0, Brighton 0.
As well as the good old wireless, you can of course listen through the BBC Sounds app, which gives you the ability to listen wherever you travel. As a throw that Diego Rico will take on that far side, back to the Nathan Ake, the dreadlock defender of Bournemouth, and then it's hooked away downfield by John Egan. Phil Jagielka's on the bench, and then a header forward by Egan, controlled well by Callum Robinson, scored 4 goals in pre-season, signing from Preston. McGoldrick feeds it out to George Baldock. Baldock has Lundstrom going on the overlap. Basham's also joining forward as well. You'll see that key feature of last season was the overlapping centre-backs. As Basham wins that ball, goes in for the challenge, and it comes off Basham in that challenge with Billing. Just felt that a little bit there, the former Huddersfield player, as it goes out for a Bournemouth throw on that far side. Michael Brown.
We've got Chris Wilder. He's just heard him in the build-up to the game. Below us, right in front, with his assistant Alan Nill. He's struggling to, with his voice broken, he's struggling to voice those.
Wilson coming forward, tried to thread it through to Fraser, breaks back to Adam Smith, now into Fraser in the penalty area, low ball. It actually struck Adam Smith as Smith had made a run into the penalty area, just clipped the back of him and was able to, Sheffield United to clear the ball away. Steve Cook plays it forward. Mepham with what looks like some strapping on his thumb and one of his fingers as well, the Welsh international on his right hand. Oxford United lead Peterborough United by a goal to nil. Oxford 1, Peterborough 0 in League One. Chris Wilder used to of course take charge of Oxford. Wherever he's been, he's done well. Alfreton in the non-league, Northampton, Oxford, before Sheffield United, had success at every club. As we welcome listeners to the BBC World Service here to the Vitality Stadium, where the lush green trees are really getting a buffeting as I look away behind the stand to my right, and also on the far side as well, such as the strength of the wind here. Floodlights are on, overcast skies, so wherever you are, particularly if you're in Ghana, after very fond memories of Ghana, Mohiti Singh, if you're listening to the World Service in Ghana, Akwaba. There we have it. How are you? Welcome. Get everything on a Saturday afternoon, you know, not just the goals. Many surprises.
I'm impressed, Deno.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Blackpool have made an impressive start as well. They've got a second at Southend United. Southend 0, Blackpool 2. I'm impressed as quickly as you polished off those wine gums during the pre-match talk. Let's find out about Crystal Palace again and Everton with Will Perry.
Well, short corner taken by Gylfi Sigurdsson just as you come to me, and there was Richarlison who tried a cheeky little run and tried to pick out the top corner, but it was blocked and it's on the halfway line now, and that is the best chance since you were last with me, which was a Gylfi Sigurdsson sitter really, about 9-10 yards out just in front of the penalty spot, and he's put it wide. It's still 0-0.
Well, despite the threatening grey skies up above, it does seem to be brightening up rather perversely here at the Vitality Stadium, as Bournemouth 0, Sheffield United 0. No goals. We just heard from Will Perry. Burnley, Southampton and Watford Brighton is also goalless. St Johnstone 1, Livingston 2 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership, and you're up to date. Offside there against Callum Wilson on this near side, as Bournemouth in their red and black striped shirts play from left to right.
I think now it's time for Sheffield United, as that little lull in play, and compose themselves, think how they've started and where there's little areas, who they're up against. Me as a player now, I'm looking, where is my midfield opponent? Somebody who's in that Premier League, you're going up in a division, what's he doing, which runs, how can I organise my team better? So they need a couple of leaders in the middle of the park with Fleck leading the team on.
Bournemouth won on the opening day last season against another promoted side in Cardiff City. They won by 2-0. That was Ryan Fraser, and then they had to wait very late for Callum Wilson to add the second goal. They had lost their previous 3 in the on the opening day in the Premier League. I was here when they did make their debut in the top flight against Aston Villa. What was it, 4 years ago? They were beaten by a 0-0, but they've established themselves now in the top flight. Although Eddie Howe's never one to be complacent as a manager, he's always looking to try and improve. And Aston Villa, of course, they, like Sheffield United, back in the big time. They're in action at Tottenham later on. We'll have news during Sports Report and, of course, into 6:06 that on Saturdays this season will be presented by Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce Ball. Billing looks towards Smith and then he loses the ball, and McGoldrick will play it back and to the edge of the Sheffield United penalty area, playing in all white from right to left, and it's now with Basham, quickly closed down, so he has to go back to Dean Henderson, and Henderson gets it out from underneath his feet. Signed a new deal at Manchester United in the summer, back for another loan spell at Bramall Lane as Robinson holds the ball up. Norwood now will play it forward up towards McGoldrick, tries to direct his header back into the path of Callum Robinson, who turns around as he doesn't reach him. I don't think he was too happy with Oliver Norwood there. He seemed to berate the Northern Ireland international midfielder as Lerma then switches play and looks for the marauding run of Diego Rico, but he won't get there, and it's marshalled well by George Baldock out for a goal kick. Now in the sunshine in this fluctuating weather.
Tropical at the moment. I think, you look from Sheffield United's point of view, Chris Wilder mentioned they want to try and score goals, they want to put teams on the back foot. They've got to be careful not to do it every time. They're playing them long balls very quickly, and if they concede the possession, that's where they'll get punished.
VAR is getting involved, and it's involved at Turf Moor. Juliet Burrington.
It's involved, and it's decided that Chris Wood's goal is a no goal. It was Barnes who threaded the ball through. The assistant linesman's flag went straight up, so it looks like Barnes was the player who was offside. Chris Wood thought he'd scored, went to VAR. VAR said no goal. It's still Burnley 0, Southampton 0.
Well, I know VAR was also involved with West Ham United, Manchester City. Have they extended match of the day to give Messrs Shearer and Wright extra talking time for all things VAR?
You could just hear Wrighty now, can't you? He'll be going through it all. It'll be new for a little period of time until we all get used to it.
Last season I struggled. I always seemed to fall asleep. And then you wake up with the opening credits for that last game of Match of the Day. If they have extended it, that could be a problem. It's on tonight, 10:30 on BBC One.
You might not see it, Deno, with your drive back to the northeast from Bournemouth.
That's true. As a player is down, and that is Steve Cook. Now VAR will be checking this, of course, because if it was to be for violent conduct, as he's gone down, he's holding his face, he's shaking his head, he's on his knees at the moment, Callum Robinson, so there will be that dialogue, constant dialogue with the referee Kevin Friend, who's having a word there with Callum Robinson. I just looked to see the big screen to see if they were doing it, and it's blank. I was expecting to see VAR check. Anyway, have you had a chance to see it again?
Yeah, I'm just watching it back there now. Yes, he tries to get his body in around Steve Cook. There's a slight arm come round into the face. It's not meant. I think it's the correct decision. Just be careful. Don't be over physical. Try and keep those arms down.
Ipswich Town leads Sunderland by 1-0 at Portman Road in League One. That's their first home game in the third tier since 1957, and Hull City have got a second goal. Hull City 2, Reading 0 in the Championship, and we'll go to one of our featured games. It's at Derby. Aaron Paul.
Derby 0, Swansea 0. Little in the way of clear-cut chances, but new Rams boss Philip Cocu will be delighted with his team's early signs of attacking intent. Deadlock still intact though, 0-0.
Sheffield United see a move break down. Lerma runs up, plays the ball up towards Callum Wilson, goes behind Josh King, and that was handball from King, but the referee lets play continue anyway with a throw which is taken quickly, and Sheffield United go all the way back, and then it's swept downfield, long by the goalkeeper Dean Henderson, dealt with by the head of Mepham, and here is Mepham now, the ball at his feet midway through his own half, and it's with Adam Smith, who's going to come under pressure from Enda Stevens on this near side, the left. As Sheffield United on all white play from right to left, and Stevens brings the ball under control, gets away from the snapping of the heels of Jefferson Lerma, runs to the edge of the area, and then Sheffield United play the ball back. Norwood, Basham, every outfield player now in the Bournemouth half, away to our left-hand side. As Baldock will come forward, short dark hair, head down. Fleck plays it along the ground. And this is now Jack O'Connell joining the attack. Nice little turn by Colin Robinson, gets some space and gets the shot away as well. And in the end, it was another smart save by Aaron Ramsdale, who was low down to his right-hand side, got his body behind it, but they've carved out 2 opportunities now in this game as it's still 0-0.
This was the Sheffield United of last season in the Championship, rotating the ball, moving it well from one side to the other. Then it was a fantastic little ball into Robertson. He receives it on the half turn, a quick little turn. He gets his shot away early into the bottom right-hand corner. But there's Aaron Ramsdale again with a good, strong right hand to see the ball away.
Still 0-0. No goals at Burnley. Although through VAR, Burnley have had a goal disallowed. Crystal Palace Everton is 0-0. Watford Brighton also goalless. West Ham United 0. Manchester City 5. A result from the London Stadium. Leeds United dropping points at home in a 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest. Grimsby Town 1. Bradford City 1 was a full-time score in League 2. Motherwell 2. Celtic 5 in the Scottish Premiership. Mepham on this near side. Smith in field. Lerma now will come forward for Bournemouth and then back with Smith. Slight lull in the atmosphere. That was a 50-50 challenge as Norwood and Lerma both went in for it. Norwood won that particular duel. Lundstrom, quite a bulky figure there in the midfield, carries the ball and then plays it back, lays it off behind him to Basham. A few minutes ago I was talking about the sunshine, the wind, meaning that the skies are constantly changing overhead, and I think there's now a little bit of rain in the air here on the south coast, and yet there is still a pocket of blue sky that is going to be quickly coming back over the Vitality Stadium. No other goals to tell you about elsewhere around the country. 6:06 then after Sports Report with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. Last night I was in a lovely place called the Pear in Parley, and I found out that one of my best mates was called Duka, and I actually started talking about Dynamo Dudushka, which is my team in the Fantasy Football League. It means granddad in Russian, Dudushka, Dynamo Dudushka.
I didn't realise you were a granddad.
Well, I'm not, but I was told in Russia that I look like one, hence the reason. But anyway, I'm sure that'll get a mention with Chris and Alistair Bruce Ball later on with 6:06. And don't forget, they also have a new podcast, Fantasy 6:06, and I'm sure there'll be a few moans from Chris Sutton, because that's what he does, if we're honest, isn't it? And you can have your moan, your gripe, or indeed you might want to praise somebody as well if you have a successful day today with your team, whether it be in the Premier League or the Football League. 6:06, the number remains the same, 08085 909 693. Helps if you get it right, doesn't it? That's after Sports Report tonight. 0-0 here at the Vitality Stadium. And Sheffield United and Chris Wilder, I would imagine, will be very, very satisfied and encouraged as we're midway through the first half.
There will be. The last 5 or 6 minutes or so, they've got back to playing. A little bit of confidence, the spell, the opportunity by Callum Robinson. That's what you want. A couple of passes, have the confidence, start feeling your way into the game, because they will have been slightly apprehensive coming into this game.
Here is Lerma. Has McGoldrick snapping at his heels, and in fact he fouls Jefferson Lerma. The Colombian is felled, and therefore that will be a free kick to Bournemouth. Steve Cook will take it. Over 300 appearances now for the club since he moved from Brighton back in 2012. Mepham back with Cook once again, quickly out from underneath his feet to Ake over on that far side. Ball played forward, and Josh King looking to make the run, but Chris Basham will turn and hook it out of play, and it drops high and out of play, and then a Sheffield United supporter throws it a long way actually onto the field of play, and by doing so prevents a quick throw in from being taken.
Did you see the supporter there, Dan? It was probably a bit far away for you to see it, but actually what he did is he literally went to head it. He went to dive and header it in the crowd actually, and he missed it.
Well, first of all, I'm not a granddad, and first of all my eyesight isn't that bad that I can actually see the other side of the pitch. Thank you very much. Billing with a long throw. Was it Billing? Yeah, I was joking. I struggled to see on that far side. My word. me and you could fall out, you know. It's the opening day of the season. I'd hate to. I know you picked up lots of yellow cards in your career, but you're going to get a yellow card from me in a minute. 0-0, 5 live. Corner kick then to Bournemouth. Corner which is on the far side of the left. This will be an outswinger from Diego Rico, but in fact he plays it short from Fraser. Rico then comes in, and as he pulls it back, looking to try and strike, it was Philip Billing, but he got too much underneath it and he skied it off his left foot, well wide, well off target, wayward finish, and that will be a goal kick to Sheffield United. Yeovil lead Stockport County, that's in the National League after their relegation. Oldham 1, Crewe 1, so Crewe have equalised at Boundary Park. And there's been a goal ruled out at the Riverside. Damien Johnson.
Yeah, bizarre moment, 0-0. The ball bounced into the crowd at the Brentford end. The keeper, David Rea, went to retrieve it. A Middlesbrough fan threw it straight to a Middlesbrough player, took a quick corner, went into the middle, and Ashley Fletcher bundled the ball into the net. Unfortunately, he'd used his hand. It remains 0-0.
Charlton, though, in the Championship, they had an excellent win at Blackburn Rovers last weekend. They're leading Stoke City by a goal to 0, and Lyle Taylor, who had an excellent season in League One for Lee Bowyer's side last season, is on the target for this afternoon at the Valley. Charlton 1, Stoke City 0. Remember, Hull lead Reading by 2-0. Preston are leading against Wigan. Sheffield Wednesday are 1-0 up against Barnsley in the South Yorkshire derby, but in the Premier League, Burnley Southampton 0-0. Crystal Palace Everton goalless. Watford Brighton still no goals, as well as Wimbledon have in fact just taken the lead at Fleetwood in League One. Fleetwood 0, Wimbledon 1 is the latest score there. On that far side, Baldock plays it out of play. Just goes to show how windy it is on that far side, that you look at the banners that the Sheffield United supporters have put there. You know, we're going on a journey. There's another one that says, is it high green blades, but it's rippling so much it's hard to see. Nothing to do with the eyesight. At the back of that stand, the wind really gives you an indication of how it must be circling inside this stadium. OK, feel free to come in at any point, Michael. That's what you're paid to do. Let's go to Juliet Farrington at Burnley.
I'll come in for you. Burnley almost going close. They've been really fired up since that Chris Woods goal was ruled out by VAR. Goodmanson's just fired in his shot, inches wide of the post. Burnley, though, slow start. They're making up for it now. Still 0-0 though against Southampton.
Team player, Juliet. Team player, thank you. 0-0 here as the atmosphere picks up once again. And it's Rico stretching high. Dealt with, though, by the head of John Egan at the heart of that Sheffield United defence. They haven't tested Dean Henderson at all, have they?
No, there's that one opportunity for him on the right-hand side. Smith got away, just couldn't make anything of it. So overall, Sheffield United will be pleased.
There will be a degree of frustration for Eddie Howe. At the minute is in conversation with Jason Tyndall, his assistant, as King, who's now popping up on the right hand side, turns, goes infield to Lerma. Norwood is quick to close him down, and because of the presence and the pressure there that Sheffield United are playing in the centre of midfield, they have to go back to Bournemouth and build once again. And the back three, Mepham, Steve Cook and Ake's now going wide. They're seeing a lot of the ball. They're pushing Smith forward on the right hand side, Rico on the left. They're interchanging the front three, but at the minute they're not getting any joy because of the way that Sheffield United are playing.
Yeah, Sheffield United have got a good shape out of possession, but Bournemouth not to be too frustrated, just keep moving them around, and that's when at half-time they'll look to see where they find those little pockets to create chances.
There's been a goal at Vicarage Road. Sahel Sahi.
And it's gone to Brighton, Ian. It's Watford 0, Brighton 1, 29 minutes played. A lovely move down the centre of the midfield from Dale Stephens. He played it out to Pascal Grob, lobbed it towards the far post. It was played back in, and Abdoulaye Doucouré poked it past his own goalkeeper Ben Foster. It's an own goal. Watford trail at home to Brighton by 1-0.
Haven't lost on any of the opening days in the league for the last 12 seasons. Watford might well be a case of unlucky 13 as they're behind there to Brighton. Portsmouth lead Tranmere Rovers by 1-0 at Fratton Park. Sheffield United with a free kick into the penalty area from the right hand side, goes past McGoldrick. It'll be kept in play. No, it won't. He's miscontrolled it, has Jack O'Connell, the centre back on this near side, the left, down by the corner flag, and so it goes out of play for a throw. They are reviewing VAR once again at Turf Moor, but it's for a red card. Juliet Berrington.
Yeah, and this could potentially be a red card for Southampton and their debutant, Che Adams. He collided with Ben Mee. Ben Mee went to the floor. We're just waiting to see the outcome of this. No red card, so it's still 11 against 11. It was a nasty little collision, but Che Adams survives, and it's still Burnley 0, Southampton 0.
Bolton Wanderers 0, Coventry City 1 is the latest score in League One. Further woe for troubled Bolton, as here there was an off-the-ball incident that the Bournemouth supporters are a bit aggrieved about towards referee Kevin Friend. Who was the Sheffield United player who...
Yeah, I think George Baldock just got in the way of Fraser, body checked him, wasn't much in it, so I'm not sure they could give anything there.
Well, the big screen away to our right didn't say VAR check. I don't think Chris Wilder was too impressed. It's still 0-0 here on BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. Steve Cook for Bournemouth to Ake. Hardly mentioned Callum Wilson, have we, so far in this game? It's King this time who plays in a central role. He makes the run forward. He takes John Egan with him. Holds onto the ball, does King. Coming back, though, midway through the Bournemouth half. And then Robinson helping out the defence. Plays it back and with the interception, and then it's cleared away by George Baldock over on that far side. And now it's another ball that goes forward by Basham, and the ironic cheers are because referee Kevin Friend has given for a free kick for a foul on Ryan Fraser, as there is a goal at Macclesfield. Mark Webber in League 2.
Macclesfield 1, Leyton Orient 0. A dull game livened up by a curler from Theo Archibald, 25 yards out, top left hand of the goal. Macclesfield 1, Leyton Orient 0.
Think back to the start of last season. Macclesfield didn't win any of their opening 13 matches last season before Sol Campbell managed to turn things around, so they lead there at Leyton Orient. Bolton 0, Coventry 1. Try and bringing you to that goal when we can from our featured game in League 1. Baldock was the offender. I don't think he was booked though, was he?
No, he wasn't booked. He just got tight to Fraser. Fraser was waiting for the challenge. He rolled over because the one before, very minimal contact. The referees gave the free kick, so it's a David opportunity for them.
Fraser with the free kick right down the throat of Dean Henderson. I think that's the first time that Dean Henderson's really had anything worthwhile to do in the Sheffield United goal.
Yeah, he's had a few clearances, but other than that, it's his first time he's had to use his hands.
Now, Adam Cottier, I am being told that the Coventry City goal at Bolton has been ruled out. Is that right?
Yes, it took a while for the officials to rule it out, but after a knee slide, Wesley Jabello's goal was ruled out. A tap in from close range. I think the offside was against Geordie Shipley, who went down the left of the penalty area, crossed in low past the goalkeeper, and it was tucked in, but ruled out for offside. Bolton starting the match with only 2 players over the age of 21 here. They're doing well so far. Bolton 0, Coventry 0.
They were only beaten last weekend when they only had 3 senior outfield players who travelled down to Adams Park at Wycombe by 2-0. Phil Parkinson always gets the best out of his players with his motivational and man management skills in what must be extremely trying circumstances and what has been a desperate week once again off the field. And you've got to have so much sympathy for Bolton Wanderers supporters at the minute with their off the field troubles, with that takeover at the minute on hold. And the sooner that is remedied, the better for all concerned. Ake to Steve Cook now. Mepham on this near side. He must be sounding like a Dalek at this point, I would imagine, Chris Wilder, with his gravelly voice, as he still barks out the orders, as patiently Bournemouth now in the sunshine, playing the ball at the back, but Sheffield United have got quite a high line. Fraser now is on this right-hand side. That front three of King, Wilson and Fraser are constantly rotating, constantly on the move, as Adam Smith joins the attack, sends over the cross, but it's more of a cross-come shot. It won't stay in play. It's gone out for a goal kick, as we will go to Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace, Everton and Will Perry.
34 minutes played, Dano. It's still Palace 0, Everton 0, but a chance to tell you about, because shots from Digne and Coleman blocked in short succession, led to Bernard across from the left-hand side. He whipped it in to find Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who put his header wide from close range. It's all Everton, 70% possession, but it's goalless.
So the only goal in the top flight in the 3 o'clock games: Vicarage Road, Watford 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. In the Championship, the latest scores: Birmingham 0, Bristol City 0, Cardiff and Luton is goalless. Remember, Charlton still leads Stoke City by a goal to 0, Derby Swansea 0-0, as is Fulham Blackburn Rovers at Craven Cottage. Hull City lead Reading by 2 goals to 0, Middlesbrough 0, Brentford 0, Preston are still leading Wigan by a goal to 0. No goals at Loftus Road, QPR and Huddersfield, or indeed West Brom Millwall, where Sheffield Wednesday are still leading Barnsley in the South Yorkshire derby, and in the early game Leeds United 1, Nottingham Forest 1. You're up to date, as there is a free kick to Sheffield United in the centre circle. Kevin Friend, the referee, as Norwood, hobbling, gets himself rather gingerly back to his feet, and it's going to be John Egan who is going to take it. In the Scottish Premiership, Celtic beat Motherwell 5-2 in the early game. That's a result. St Johnstone 1, Livingston 2. Hamilton lead Kilmarnock by a goal to 0, and at Tynecastle, Hearts 0, Ross County 0. Norwood plays it short, gets it back. Norwood then will come under pressure from Wilson, but he holds him off as he runs forward. But Wilson, though, gets a foot in there, runs away from Norwood. Sheffield United back in possession. They go all the way back then to Egan. O'Connell plays it forward, and a sliding Billing forces the ball out of play for a throw to Sheffield United that they want to take quickly, but Ender Stevens has advanced too far forward, and Kevin Friend says, come back a little bit. Here now, O'Connell. Where will we go next then on this Saturday afternoon? Watford and Sahel Sai.
10 minutes to play in the first half, Ian. It's still Watford 0, Brighton 1, but Watford had a half chance, scrambled away at the near post from Brighton for a corner kick, and the corner kick was wasted. A shot high and over the top from 25 yards out. Watford 0, Brighton 1.
Crawley 1, Salford City 0 in League 2, and the deadlock has been broken at Craven Cottage. Mike Williams.
An absolute screamer from the Fulham captain Tom Kearney into the top right hand corner of Christian Walton in the Blackburn Rovers goal. Nothing he could do about it. Kearney had some space and unleashed an absolute missile. They deserve the lead here. Fulham 1, Blackburn 0.
Mentioned Salford losing. We're actually at Salford on Tuesday night. Plenty of League Cup action. Salford City entertaining Leeds United. 24 hours later, 5 Live Sport will be live in Istanbul for the UEFA Super Cup. Chelsea against Liverpool. And of course on Monday night everything will be dissected in the Monday Night Club from 7. And don't forget, tomorrow 5 Live Premier League Sunday, we have 2 commentaries for you from 2 o'clock: Newcastle Arsenal, also news of Leicester Wolves, and Manchester United Chelsea live from 4:30. 5 Live Premier League Sunday. It will be unrivaled throughout the season. Billing, Adam Smith, Fraser on this near side the right, plays it forward where Smith has continued his run. Fleck is going with him, stride for stride. Lerma can't thread it through, comes off the legs of McGoldrick. And Bournemouth now recycle the ball out towards that far side, the left. Cross is played in by Rico. Haven't done enough, have they, in the final third?
They've not. Full credit to Sheffield United with that present, that's desire. Can they keep it up for the 90 minutes? As you mentioned, at the top of the pitch, King, Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, you'd expect them to be creating more opportunities.
Stoke City have equalised at Charlton in the Championship. Charlton 1, Stoke City 1. That was the voice of Michael Brown, formerly of Manchester City and Tottenham as well, of course. Sheffield United with his 4 years at Bramall Lane. The ball is skied a little bit there by Basham. Going to attack it was Jack O'Connell in the centre circle. Adam Smith now coming forward for Bournemouth and plays it across to Rico. Southend 0, Blackpool 3 is the latest score at Roots Hall. So Simon Grayson having an excellent day down at Roots Hall as the ball from Callum Wilson looking towards Ryan Fraser has been dealt with by that Sheffield United defence. Hasn't really been I can only think of one occasion so far in this first half as the ball is up towards Wilson, but again Egan marshalled him well, very tight behind Callum Wilson as McGoldrick there was chopped down by Mepham to give away a free kick midway through the Sheffield United half, where they'd gone forward and Fraser on the counter-attack. That's the only time where I can consider the Sheffield United back line being stretched so far.
It is, and that's what, this is where the Premier League experience of these players and Eddie Howe, that information at half-time where they can change. You often find the better teams find that something different to unlock you, and that's where Chris Wilder is going to be tested, him and Alan Neil, his assistant manager, throughout this season.
Fleck heads it forward. It was King helping out. Lerma now looks to Rico. Rico collects the ball, looks up. He's quickly faced by Baldock on that far side, and he has to go back to Nathan Ake. Bournemouth have only lost one of their last 11 in the Premier League at home against promoted sides, and that was actually against Fulham back in April when they were beaten by a 0-0. But they're having to be patient here, and in fact, I would imagine there is that source of frustration for Eddie Howe as he watches on in his black tracksuit, arms folded in that technical area, as all of a sudden the ball is given away rather loosely in the midfield, and Lundstrom will run forward, and then Sheffield United go back on that far side. Rico into the challenge on Baldock. Out of play it goes for a throw on that far side. No other goals to tell you about elsewhere around the country as we're approaching half time. Might well be some more reaction as well to that earlier game in the Premier League. West Ham United 0, Manchester City 5, where Raheem Sterling scored a hat-trick. He was made captain by Dynamo Dadushka with a late alteration for Fantasy 606 that I'm sure will get that mention in with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton a little later on. In fact, Chris Wilder is a guest for Gary Richardson on Sports Week tomorrow morning between 9 and 10. Jack Leach is also Gary Richardson's guest after being called up by England. So that's between 9 and 10 before more live football tomorrow on 5 Live. Sheffield United attack and win a corner as Billing, the former Huddersfield player, tall, lean midfielder, charging down the attempted cross. And so now Fleck will wander across, the diminutive Scottish midfielder, to place the ball down in the quadrant as Sheffield United in all white are attacking from right to left, and Eddie Howe cuts a concerned figure, hands on hips, watching on. Basham predictably at the back post. There are a clutch of players there inside the centre circle. Robinson jostling for position, looking to put pressure on the debutant in goal, Aaron Ramsdale. Very, very crowded 6-yard area. The referee, Kevin Friend, has got to keep a close eye on that. Fleck waits to take the corner kick. 5 Live. 42 minutes played, 0-0. There's the referee's whistle. Fleck curls it in towards the near post, headed away by Lerma. Sheffield United get it back to Lundstrom, who shoots, drags it wide. Missed penalty at Derby County. Aaron Paul.
Derby County awarded a penalty. Derby County missed a penalty. Martin Waghorn brought down. He stepped up, took it. Fabulous save by the online Newcastle goalkeeper, Freddie Woodman. Derby 0, Swansea 0.
St Johnstone 2, Livingston 2 in the Scottish Premiership. At Deepdale, Preston now lead Wigan by 2-0, and Mansfield have a goal back. Mansfield Town 1, Morecambe 2 is the latest score in League 2. 0-0 here at Bournemouth. Lerma across to Smith. Smith miscontrols it, straight to Fleck. It's presented to the Scottish midfielder as we'll go to Selhurst Park and Will Perry.
Well, it's still 0-0 here, but the best chance of the game has fallen to Crystal Palace. 2 minutes before the break, it was Max Meyer on the left-hand side. He cut in onto his right foot, looked like he was going to put his shot into the top right corner, but Seamus Coleman stuck out a foot and it looped onto the top of the net. 2 successive corners, one of them Scott Dan headed, deflected just wide. It's still 0-0.
Late challenge, Adam Smith on O'Connell, gets a yellow card from Kevin Friend. We'll go to Watford, Sahel Sahi.
Still Watford 0, Brighton 1, but Watford had a free kick from Hollybass and he lofted it towards goal. Matt Ryan position wasn't very good, but he chipped it over the crossbar. Watford 0, Brighton 1.
That late challenge was actually checked by VAR for a potential red card. It was never a red, was it?
No, it's not a red, it was a late challenge. Yellow card was the correct decision. Adam Smith just trying to put pressure on and caught Jack O'Connell late.
Ball over the top, and it just kicked back a little bit off the surface as it was played forward. Whether that was wind assisted, but all of a sudden then the goalkeeper Dean Henderson, who'd raced out of his penalty area, just had to check, but it was well dealt with and played out of for a throw because Callum Wilson was looking to try and make some ground. Now this is going to be a long throw. They've created very, very little, next to nothing, Bournemouth in open play, but Cook in this tight, compact ground here at the Vitality Stadium against the advertising hoardings with a looping throw into the penalty area, headed away then by Fleck. drops to Billing. Billing runs forward. Mepham, very good challenge, and it was from Egan, who just did enough to put him off, and Mepham has screwed it well wide. Goal kick, 0-0.
Just as you mentioned, the long throw goes in. They couldn't get it away and couldn't clear it, Sheffield United, but some last gasp defending to make them screw the ball wide, and a let-off that would have been cruel right on half-time.
Gillingham 1, Burton 1, so Burton have equalised at Priestfield in League 1, and Rotherham United 0, Lincoln City 1 is the latest score in League 1, and Crewe are now leading Oldham 2-1 at Boundary Park. Oldham 1, Crewe 2, so Crewe are back in front as we come to the end towards this first half on BBC Radio 5 Live, and Fleck comes forward onto a loose ball and then just overruns it, and it's cleared on the edge of the Bournemouth penalty area by Cook. Now, here is Stevens. Goes back in field. Egan in the centre circle. Bulldogs forward. 1 minute of added on time, which we're now into here at the Vitality Stadium. And it is still 0-0. Palace 0, Everton 0. Burnley Southampton is goalless. Watford 0, Brighton 1. Earlier West Ham United 0, Manchester City 5. Henderson downfield. Ball spinning in the air. Cook then will head it away. King on the halfway line. Just got a little nudge there in the back by Jack O'Connell. Headed then forward by O'Connell, and it bounces away off the right knee of McGoldrick and to Mepham. Mepham will come under pressure from Robinson, gets a foot there in the challenge. Sheffield United pressing and actually win the ball back now. McGoldrick keeps the ball in on this left touchline. O'Connell, the centre-back, has gone on the overlap on this near side. It's played short and forward to McGoldrick, who goes back in field. Forward of the centre circle to Norwood. And Norwood now controlling things in midfield to Fleck. Fleck drops his shoulder, runs forward, finds Robinson outside the penalty area. Out it goes to Baldock, level the penalty area, right corner of the box. Lundstrom is forward, right hand side of the penalty area. Helped out by Baldock. Is there a final ball? Is there that delivery from Sheffield United? In it comes now from Norwood. Robinson, nice little touch, gets the turn, shot away, and it was blocked. Now it falls to Fleck. Oh, he hit that well, and the keeper made the save, but the referee had already blown his whistle. And that, in fact, is the end of the first half, in where Sheffield United have created the better chances, but it is Bournemouth 0, Sheffield United 0. Michael Brown.
It was a fantastic half for Sheffield United's point of view. In the very first minute, Dave McGoldrick got free, but it was a great save by the debutant Aaron Ramsdale, followed by an opportunity by the sharp Callum Robinson. 20 minutes, caused a save down the right hand side, but other than that, really, Bournemouth have troubled Sheffield United very little. So it's a full credit with the shape and the performance as the growing confidence is Sheffield United's side on their debut in the Premier League.
They've acquitted themselves exceptionally well here, have Sheffield United. And if anybody's got some thinking to do at half-time, it's not Chris Wilder, it's Eddie Howe. Bournemouth 0, Sheffield United 0.
We'll take you round all the other Premier League grounds in the next few minutes for the half-time stories. We'll start at Vicarage Road and Sahel Sahi.
Half-time here then, Jonathan. Watford 0, Brighton 1. After a shaky start, Brighton have taken charge of this game, and as promised, Graham Potter has his team playing out from the back, keeping possession and switching the attack from flank to flank. The goal arrived with Brighton doing exactly that, resulting in a teasing cross from the right by Pascal Grob, who's the outstanding player on the pitch, which Decore poked past Ben Foster for an own goal. Half-time, Watford 0, Brighton 1.
Plenty of VAR action in the first half at Turf Moor. Juliet Ferrington.
We're into 3 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. It's still Burnley 0, Southampton 0. We've had more VAR action than chances. Burnley had a goal disallowed. Chris Wood scored. Barnes played him through, but Barnes was offside, way offside. The assistant referee flagged it straight away. VAR then agreed. Then Che Adams caught Ben Mee. That was on the shin. That went to a red card review. Mee was floored, but VAR decided that wasn't a red card offence, and he stuck with the referee's original decision. We've got another break in play here at the end of this first half. Nathan Redmond, in terms of chances, closest to a goal. Pope at full stretch, though, to deny him. Still 0-0.
And I suppose, unlike the Manchester City match earlier, Juliet, when the VARs were all on definite decisions on offsides this is a subjective call, isn't it? Particularly on the red card challenge.
Yeah, this is subjective, and this is going with the referee. And they were saying in the various presentations that we have been through to the summer, this is how they wanted it to operate. Now, in terms of the goal being disallowed, that didn't take very long, maybe 15 seconds or so. It was a little bit longer on the Ben Mee and the Che Adams, and then on the potential red card there, which wasn't a red card. But then a similar kind of incident happened between Goodmanson and Ryan Bertrand, another clashing of players coming together. Another sort of looking at it with the naked eye, it looked like Goodmanson had gone in on Bertrand on his shin. That did not go to a VAR review, so it's kind of very much hit and miss. But we have now hit half-time, and as I say, there's been more VAR action than there has been chances, and the rain is hammering it down here. It's Burnley 0, Southampton 0.
We'll go to Selhurst Park next, South East London, and Will Perry.
Well, it's Palace 0, Everton 0 at the break, Jonathan. All Everton right up until the last couple of minutes of the first half, but Marco Silva's side have nothing to show for it. Sigurdsson missed a sitter early on, side-footing wide from about 10 yards out, and then Calvert-Lewin headed wide from really close range as well. Coleman smacked a shot into the body of the keeper, Gaita at the far post for Everton. He didn't seem to know much about it, and that was before the best chance of the game up the other end. Max Meyer cutting inside on the left for Palace, inside the box. Coleman stuck out a foot, a really good foot as well, because Meyer's shot just about looped onto the top of the net. And then we had this injury incident just before the break. Andre Gomes, the Portuguese international that Everton made permanent from Barcelona in this window, he's taken a knock. He's hobbled down the tunnel. It doesn't look too good for him, but he's been replaced by Jean-Philippe Gabama, Everton's new signing, the man to replace Idrissa Gueye, who went to Paris Saint-Germain. They brought him in from Mainz, an Ivory Coast international, so he's making his debut. The wind is playing havoc here at Selhurst Park, as it is at a lot of the grounds, I imagine, but at the break it's Palace 0, Everton 0.
So just the one goal in the top flight in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Tottenham against Aston Villa starts at 5:30, and earlier Manchester City winning 5-0 at West Ham with a hat-trick from Raheem Sterling. Into the Championship we go. Let's start at Derby Swansea. Aaron Paul.
0-0 here. Proper Championship welcome for Philip Cocu on his homecoming as Derby boss. Plenty of feist and action, but little in the way of concrete chances. Derby should really be in the lead, but Martin Waghorn saw his penalty well saved by Swansea keeper Freddie Woodman. The natives getting somewhat restless towards the end of this first period, because at the break it is Derby 0, Swansea 0.
Middlesbrough Brentford, Damien Johnson.
0-0, further signs of promise in the Riverside Revolution under Jonathan Woodgate for Middlesbrough. 2 disallowed efforts from Ashley Fletcher, all they have to show for their first half dominance. Johnson tested Raya, left-footed. Asombalonga hit the post. It's 0-0.
Earlier, Leeds 1, Nottingham Forest 1 in the Championship. Half-time at Sheffield Wednesday, Barnsley. Lucy Ward.
Yeah, it's 1-1 here. Full-blooded half in this Yorkshire derby. Barnsley rocked by Sheffield Wednesday when Jacob Murphy scored after 2 minutes on his debut for the Owls. Barnsley rallied and had their own chances through Moat. Sheffield Wednesday pressing high and forcing mistakes from Barnsley. End-to-end stuff, tackles flying in. Typical Yorkshire derby. Sheffield Wednesday finished the half stronger with Radlinger in the Barnsley goal, making 2 1v1 saves. However, in the last minute, Woodrow could have had a chance to equalise, but saved well by Dawson. Last 3 metres between these two teams finished 1-1, and you wouldn't bet against it. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Barnsley 0.
Fulham Blackburn next, Mike Williams.
Fulham 1, Blackburn 0. Tom Kearney's superb goal, the only real highlight of the first 45 here. The Fulham captain found himself in space, 25 yards out, let fly with a brilliant right-footed shot, which sailed into the top right corner of Christian Walton's goal. He's got that in his locker, Kearney. He scored a similar goal against Leeds here at the Cottage when Fulham were last in the Championship. Blackburn haven't offered too much in response, bar a string of corners and a Sam Gallagher close-range header at the near post, which was just wide. But Scott Parker will be the happier man at half-time. It's Fulham 1, Blackburn 0.
Elsewhere in the Championship, Birmingham City 0, Bristol City 0. It's Charlton 1, Stoke 1. Lyle Taylor, who got 21 goals in their promotion-winning season for Charlton, is at it again. He's scored in both their games so far this season. Tom Ince has got the equaliser for Stoke, 1-1 there at the break. Cardiff 0, Luton 0. Hull 2, Reading 0. First home game for Grant McCann. It's Preston 2, Wigan 0. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Barnsley 0, as you've heard, and West Brom 0, Millwall 0. It was goalless QPR at Huddersfield last time I checked, but a lot of injury time being played there first half at Loftus Road. Let's go into League One and Adam Cottier at the Bolton Coventry match.
Bolton 0, Coventry 0 at half-time. Bolton cheered off at half-time. Their team holding firm in the face of adversity with only 2 players over the age of 21. They very nearly scored when the 17-year-old Callum King-Harms crashed a left-foot shot goalwards, but Marco Morosi in the Coventry goal made a really smart save. Just before that, Wesley Jabello had a goal disallowed for Coventry for offside. The support for Bolton is superb here, and the team of teenagers has been combative and resilient. Half-time, Bolton 0, Coventry 0.
Remember the Accrington-Bury match postponed in League One. Elsewhere in that division today, Ipswich 1, Sunderland 0. Now Luke Garbett with the goal there, and that's 2 for him. He's scored in both matches for Ipswich, who've made a strong start under Paul Lambert. MK Dons 0, Shrewsbury 0. Other half-times in League One, Bristol Rovers 0, Wycombe Wanderers 0, Fleetwood 0, Wimbledon 1. Burton are leading 2-1 at Gillingham, 0-0 MK Dons Shrewsbury. Oxford are one up on Peterborough, and Portsmouth lead 1-0 against Tranmere. Second goal of the season for Ben Close there. Rochdale 0, Doncaster 0. Lincoln are leading Rotherham 1-0, and that's a good start to the season again for the Cowley brothers at Lincoln. They won there on the opening day, ahead again. And likewise for Blackpool and for Simon Grayson. 5 goals scored, none conceded so far, as Blackpool lead 3-0 at Southend, and Nathan Delfonso has scored 2 of those in the first half for Blackpool. Into League Two, here's Macclesfield Leyton Orient with Mark Webber.
Macclesfield 1, Leyton Orient 0. The home side going direct to try and win this one, and it's working so far. Theo Archibald, 25 yards out, a beauty of a left foot curling shot into the top left goal to make it Macclesfield 1, Leyton Orient 0.
That half-time we were waiting for in the Championship is confirmed at 0-0, QPR against Huddersfield. So here are all the other half-times in League Two. In fact, there was one early kick-off today and it finished Grimsby 1, Bradford City 1. The others at half-time, Cambridge United 0, Newport County 0, goalless Cheltenham, Scunthorpe as well. Crawley are leading 1-0 against Salford, Mansfield 1, Morecambe 2, Oldham 1, Crewe 2, goalless Plymouth against Colchester, 1-1 Port Vale against Northampton, and goalless Stevenage Exeter and Swindon Carlisle. The one remaining match, Forest Green Rovers leading 1-0 at Walsall at half-time. Into Scotland in the Premiership earlier, champions Celtic, comfortable win by 5-2 at Motherwell, although they did need to come from behind in that one. Full time, because this one was a 2 o'clock kickoff, St Johnstone 2, Livingston 2, and at half-time in the 3 o'clocks, it's Hamilton 1, Kilmarnock 0, and it's 0-0 between Hearts and Ross County. Scottish Championship half-time, Morton 1, Alloa 1, Dundee 0, Ayr 0, Inverness 1, Arbroath 1, Queen of the South 0, Dunfermline 1. In League One, in Scotland, East 5-1, Peterhead 1, Falkirk. What a first half. They're leading Dumbarton 5-0. Forfar Stranraer is goalless, as is Montrose Airdrieonians. Montrose down to 10 men. Wraith 2, Clyde 2. And really the story in Scotland, first couple of weeks of the season, has to be Cove Rangers. First season in the league, having been promoted from non-league. They won the first match 5-0, and at half-time in their second match, they're 3-1 up at Albion Rovers. Great stuff. Annan 0, Elgin 0, Cowdenbeath 0, Stirling 0, Edinburgh 1, Brechin 0, Queen's Park 0, Stenhousemuir 0, and you are up to date on 5 Live Sport. 4 minutes to 4. More live action on the way after the latest BBC News. Liam Smedley.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The US financier Jeffrey Epstein has been found dead in his New York prison cell. The 66-year-old was charged last month with trafficking dozens of underage girls for sex and had been due to stand trial next year. He pleaded not guilty to all charges and was reportedly on suicide watch following an earlier incident. At least 13 people have been killed by a powerful typhoon in China, which hit the coast near Shanghai. More than 1 million have been forced from their homes. 2 people have been arrested after a 9-year-old boy was found under Brighton Pier during storms overnight. The child's under police protection and the adults are being held on suspicion of neglect. And the West Coast Main Line has reopened after it was closed between England and Scotland due to flooding. Network Rail says water levels have dropped, but 5 miles per hour speed limits will be in place for a time.
The best live sport.
England lost the first test.
Gliding the ball off, the glove, he's out. He's caught at second slip, it's all over. Australia have come up with the most gratifying, memorable win.
But now they look to bounce back and level up the series at Lord's.
And he's in on the pad, appeals leg before wicket, up goes the finger.
the Ashes. The second test starts Wednesday, live from Lord's.
Hear every ball, every boundary and every wicket with 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra.
And keep up to date with the TMS podcast. Download and subscribe using the BBC Sounds app.
This is 5 Live Sport with Jonathan Overend.
Less than 6 weeks until the Rugby Union World Cup. Warm-up internationals this weekend. England-Wales tomorrow. You can listen to that on Sports Extra from Twickenham. Today it was Ireland-Italy. Result is in. Ireland have won by 29 points to 10. Just run through the half-times in the National League for you, and then we'll hear from Pep Guardiola. AFC Fylde 1, Ebbsfleet 0. Barrow 0, Eastleigh 0. Borehamwood 1, Chesterfield 2. Bromley are leading 2-1 against Torquay. It's 0-0 Dover Wrexham, although that hasn't reached half-time yet. FC Halifax Town 1, Dagenham and Redbridge 0. Goalless between Maidenhead and Hartlepool. Solihull are 1-up on Aldershot, and Chorley are leading 2-1 at Sutton. So Manchester City beginning the defence of their Premier League title with a 5-0 win at West Ham. Jesus got it underway. Aguero scored on a retaken penalty, and Raheem Sterling scored a hat-trick. Here's Pep Guardiola with Guy Mowbray.
Well, Pep, what a performance. 5 goals and 3 points. That's the perfect start, isn't it?
In terms of 5 goals, a perfect start, yes. For the performance, the first half is far away from we want to be, but the other side is normal. So we knew it. The first game away, 12:30, hot. Still, we are not in the top condition. So I knew that we lost a lot of simple balls. With that, it's so difficult, to have a good tempo of our game. But the second half with 0-1, the second half was much better from the beginning. And it's been the first game away. 0-5 is an incredible result.
Highlights on Match of the Day tonight, 10:30, BBC One with Shearer and Wright alongside Lineker on the sofa. Your chance to have your say after the Sports Report this evening. Alistair Bruce Ball, Chris Sutton will be taking your calls from 6 o'clock. They'll also be keeping you in touch with action at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tonight, because it's Tottenham against Aston Villa. We'll be able to confirm the team news in half an hour's time, and John Akers, I'd expect you'll be watching plenty of new faces.
I should say so. It's been a while, hasn't it, since Spurs fans have seen anyone new playing for them. We could see Ndombele and Lo Celso play some part today, but Sessegnon has a hamstring problem. We'll definitely see a new signing for Villa. They've made 12 this summer, and £22 million record signing Wesley, the Brazilian, is expected to start up front. One thing's for sure, the atmosphere inside here for Spurs' first opening day game in their new stadium should be something special. It's a sellout. Very difficult to know what to expect from either. Spurs' league form at the end of last season, fairly poor. Villa finishing 5th in the Championship, coming through the playoffs. It's a 5:30 kickoff.
It is, thank you very much indeed. 3 more Premier League matches tomorrow. 2 of them will be commentaries on 5 Live Sport. Newcastle, well, we do all 3 if we could, but 2 are kicking off simultaneously, so not even we've worked a way of doing that just yet. Newcastle against Arsenal is the early one, and then Manchester United, Chelsea inside Old Trafford. Leicester against Wolves as well. 5 Live's Premier League Sunday is on the way tomorrow from 12:30. Before that, the squad with Nick Bright returns from 11:30. Right, let's head back to the Vitality Stadium. This has been impressive from the Premier League new boys, Sheffield United, so far, but it is goalless at Bournemouth. Back to Michael Brown and Ian Dennis.
Yes, neither side has made a change. As in the sunshine, Bournemouth restart the game here at the Vitality Stadium in their red and black striped shirts and black shorts, playing from right to left as we look in the main stand here, just to the right of the halfway line, against Sheffield United in all white, therefore from left to right. So neither team making any alterations. Aaron Ramsdale in goal for Bournemouth. Back 3 of Chris Mepham, Steve Cook and Nathan Ake. Adam Smith, the right wing back, booked in the first half. Diego Rico on the left. Jefferson Lerma and Philip Billing in the centre. And a front 3 of Josh King, Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser. For Sheffield United, Dean Henderson is in goal. The 3 central defenders, Jack O'Connell, John Egan and Chris Basham. George Baldock and Ender Stevens are the wing backs, right and left respectively. John Lundstrom, Oliver Norwood and John Fleck in the centre of midfield. Callum Robinson and David McGoldrick are the 2 up front. And both Robinson and McGoldrick 4 saves out of Ramsdale in that first half. Bournemouth didn't test Dean Henderson at all. Fleck along the ground, Robinson lets it run through. That was a nicely worked move into the penalty area. It goes, Looking to try and pop up on the end of it was Enda Stevens, but it just wouldn't run enough for him, and it's been turned behind for a corner kick, but a sharp, incisive move, and it required Mepham sliding in to force the ball behind for a corner kick.
It's a great move from Sheffield United. There was a little pass into Callum Robinson. He overed it. He tried to get the return, but actually it went into the path of Enda Stevens. He just couldn't get there. Great recovery run by Chris Mepham.
Corner kick swept in towards the near post, attacked by Lerma. Comes then out to Baldock. He sliced it a little bit, and O'Connell, as it dropped over his shoulder, was thinking of maybe hooking it, but Jack O'Connell, then the 25-year-old central defender at 6'3", then decided it was just a little bit too high at around chest height to try anything acrobatically, and it went out for a goal kick, which Ramsdale will take.
Well, the two set pieces that we'd seen from Sheffield United and were able to put it on top of the goalkeeper, the young goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale. They've hit the first man on both occasions, one by Fleck, one by Norwood. The deliveries have got to be much better.
Just saw there an example of one of the new laws that you will see on Match of the Day that were introduced by IFAB for goal kicks, where the ball no longer has to leave the penalty area before it can be played. As Norwood then with a good ball in, and that's dealt with by Ramsdale, and the referee actually blows his whistle, and attacking players can actually enter the penalty area as well as soon as the defending side opt to play it short, and that's exactly what happened there. So at the minute he had Ramsdale, and Robinson and McGoldrick were quick then to run into the penalty area to put pressure on Bournemouth. One of the new laws that is certainly designed to bring in more attacking play. Now let's go back to Watford with news of a half-time substitution. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, made by the Watford manager Ian.
Hold on, Sahel. Here is McGoldrick. McGoldrick with a shot, just wide. Hit it right-footed from the edge of the area. It was always going away from goal, but another opportunity fair for the Premier League new boys. Back to you, Sahel.
Yeah, just very quickly, he's bought off at Delafeu and he's bought on Pereira. So the change, Roberto Pereira for Gerard Delafeu.
Thank you, Sahel. Brighton still lead there by 1-0. It was always going wide, Michael Brown.
It was always going wide, but you can see again, it was like in the first minute, Dave McGoldrick pulling off the shoulder. Got to be aware of that. The back three of Bournemouth, 2 square on. He takes it early, some 25 yards out to the right of the box. He drills it, and it just fades away from the right-hand post of Aaron Ramsdale.
Walsall 0, Forest Green Rovers 1 is the latest score in League 2 early in the second half. BBC Radio 5 Live. Start of the Premier League season. Burnley 0, Southampton 0. Palace Everton is goalless. We just heard from Sahel. It's still 0-0 here as Fleck looks up. And the ball that is played out towards that far side, the left, and on chasing that diagonal ball was Callum Robinson. And it goes out for a Bournemouth throw as the Sheffield United supporters had a rendition of Annie's song just at the start of the second half. I don't think many greasy chip butties will be consumed on this day. I'll leave that for the winter months as they're back in the Premier League. John Denver song, wasn't it? Annie's song that they've adapted as the Sheffield United anthem, as Norwood tidies it up with a back pass to Egan, sees it back further to Dean Henderson. Downfield it goes. I think the wind didn't do any favours there for Chris Mepham, but eventually managed to clear the ball away, and there was a little tug there on the shirt of Jefferson Lerma. The Colombian falls to the floor and Bournemouth get themselves a throw. Hamilton 2, Kilmarnock 0 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. As Smith coming forward now for Bournemouth, just in from that right touchline. Billing caught in possession, dawdled on the ball too long, didn't realise that McGoldrick was going to come from behind him to win the ball. Norwood. Ball played forward now to Robinson. Touch goes away from him. Helps it though to McGoldrick. Billing though in the challenge. Test Skollick. This is Lerma. Fraser out now to Adam Smith. Fraser makes the run forward. Haven't really had much time in that final third to try and cause them too many problems, the home side, but Fraser is more than capable as he plays the ball in. You think that last season he had 14 assists in the Premier League. Only Eden Hazard actually had more assists in the top flight last season, as Lundstrom plays a rather risky ball from this near touchline back into the penalty area. That's dealt with by Henderson. Robinson lays it back to McGoldrick. McGoldrick comes under pressure, fouled by Billing. Kevin Friend right on hand gives the free kick to Sheffield United. You can sense the frustration building inside the Vitality Stadium. Lundstrom is forward, and that's too deep, too heavy, and the ball curls out of play for a goal kick. 0-0, Michael Brown.
It's a great bit of pressure from Sheffield United. The referees give an advantage on a few occasions. The Bournemouth supporters are not best pleased. But there, John Lundstrom and the midfield for Sheffield United just had a bit of space and a bit of time to have that composure. He's got a couple of long balls that have come off for him. On this occasion, he puts the ball right out of play when he could have had a simple pass to the right-hand side of him.
Bournemouth have had 60% in terms of possession. They're yet to have a shot on target. Here is Billing. £15 million they paid for him from Huddersfield Town. Back to Aaron Ramsdale. Fair-haired goalkeeper drives it long. Picked up by Fraser. Fraser running forward now. Finds King inside the penalty area. King onto his right foot. Pulls it back to Lerma. Lerma will shoot. Charged down by Fleck. Headed away then. And running forward is Ender Stevens. The early release up towards Callum Robinson. Sliding across the ground though to make that challenge midway through his own half was Steve Cook. It had to be a well-timed challenge as Sheffield United were looking to break. And indeed it was. Still 0-0.
It was a brilliant defending by Steve Cook to see his side off from danger. It was this occasion, it was Sheffield United looking to counter-attack down the left-hand side by Jack O'Connell, Ender Stevens. It's great play.
Here is Basham. Basham running towards the halfway line. Sheffield United in all white, playing from left to right. McGoldrick. Norwood then. Precise ball to the feet of Baldock on this near side. Basham then will play it forward. Lundstrom has stayed out wide on the right. Lundstrom's crossed into the penalty area. He was looking to Callum Robinson, and diving just in front of Robinson was Chris Mepham. It was a pacey ball that he whipped in. Goes out towards the far side for a Bournemouth throw.
Just criticised him for playing the ball early, but on this occasion it was a great little curled run down the touchline by Chris Basham. Lundstrom sees Callum Robinson in the centre of the area. He fizzes it across the pitch, but Callum Robinson just wasn't sure. He runs past him. It was a great opportunity. Well played, John Lundstrom.
Cardiff City have just taken the lead at home to Luton Town. They were beaten last weekend at Wigan, weren't they? Neil Warnock's side, but they're 1-0 up at home in the Championship, where the result earlier today from Ellen Road was Leeds United 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Grimsby 1, Bradford City 1, a full-time score in League 2, Motherwell 2, Celtic 5. And of course I'm sure that you're aware now that Raheem Sterling scored a hat-trick as Manchester City, the champions, beat West Ham United by 5-0. Rotherham United 0, Lincoln City 2 is the latest score in League 1. Fleck to Robinson, bounces off the chest. He was complaining that he'd been fouled by Nathan Ake. Loose ball as the referee says play on with Lerma. Very slow and methodical at the minute though, Bournemouth. Need a little bit more urgency as there's a little bit of debris that is now starting to fly around on the playing surface due to the windy conditions. All the noise is coming from the far side where the travelling Sheffield United fans are singing. I'm very pleased with what they've witnessed so far as they're more than holding their own on their return to the Premier League. Swindon 0, Carlisle United 1 is the latest score in League 2 as the ball is played forward by Lerma and the move almost breaks down, but Fraser keeps it alive to Callum Wilson. And then the referee has blown his whistle. We'll go to Turf Moor. Juliet Farrington.
Where Southampton have just had a free kick from a really good position. It was Nathan Redmond who was fouled right on the edge of the D by Tarkowski. Bertrand eventually took the free kick as Ward-Prowse and Bertrand and Redmond all talked amongst themselves before Bertrand let rip, and he went over the bar. No trouble at all for Nick Pope whatsoever. Still 0-0 here.
Fraser with the free kick for Bournemouth. It curls into the penalty area, comes to King, and then the clearance on that far side by Ender Stevens on the edge of the 6-yard box. Kept in play by Adam Smith. In brilliant sunshine here on the south coast now. Bournemouth are attacking. Then it breaks down on that far side, the right, and McGoldrick will spin and lead the counter-attack for Sheffield United all in white. And midway through his own half, he exchanges passes with Fleck, and then McGoldrick very casually sprays it across to Basham. Forward ball on this near side. Eddie Howe wants his side to put a little bit more pressure on the ball, I think. There's a goal at the Riverside, and it's Damian Johnson
Middlesbrough 0, Brentford 1 against the run of play. Brentford have scored through Ollie Watkins, a man they kept hold of during the transfer window. Sergei Canos raced down the right-hand side, outpaced Ayala to the byline and crossed for Watkins to score into an empty net. 1-0 to Brentford.
Swindon Town 0, Carlisle United 1, a ladies score in League 2. What's happening at Selhurst Park? Will Perry?
9 minutes played in the second half. It's here still Palace 0, Everton 0, but another really good chance for the visitors. It was Digne who pulled the ball across the goal just outside the 6-yard box. Sigurdsson stuck out a leg, flicked it goalwards, and Van Arnholt was on the line to clear off the line for Palace. Palace 0, Everton 0.
Ladies from Watford now, Sahel Sahi.
Where Brighton are still leading Watford by a goal to 0, but Watford had a half chance. Solly March, first mistake of the afternoon, tried to guide the ball out of play. It was nicked away from him. A fist cross was pulled back for Andre Gray. His shot was well saved by Matt Ryan. Watford 0, Brighton 1.
Lee Novak has just scored for Scunthorpe United in League 2. Cheltenham 0, Scunthorpe United 1. Bournemouth here 0-0. BBC Radio 5 Live. Also available on the BBC Sounds app. As Sheffield United again win the ball. Patrolling the midfield area there was John Fleck to break up that move. Then they hit it long. They're more than able and capable to mix up their game, aren't they, Sheffield United? Looking then to try and stretch that Bournemouth defence. And Robinson was a willing runner. Huddersfield lead QPR by a goal to 0 in the Championship at Loftus Road. Queen's Park Rangers 0, Huddersfield Town 1. As again, Fleck doing his job effectively in the midfield. Wins the ball and now runs forward. Goes over the halfway line. And then it runs away from him, and King back there helping out will carry it now back into Sheffield United territory for Bournemouth and feeds it short to Adam Smith on the right. Crawley Town 2, Salford City 0. They're on Tuesday night for League Cup action. Wednesday we have the UEFA Super Cup live on BBC Radio 5 Live. Come on Bournemouth is the cry from the Bournemouth supporters here in the Vitality Stadium. Michael Brown.
Well, you can see that they've been poor so far in this game, and they just want a little bit more attacking threat.
Rico, well, that'll be checked by VAR. Oh, what a hit that was by Billing. He absolutely, as if everyone was appealing for the penalty, Billing on the half volley has struck it fiercely, left-footed. Henderson made a terrific save, diving away towards his left-hand side. Just looking towards the big screen to see if there would be a VAR check for that potential penalty, but what a hit that was by Billing.
Well, it was an opportunist strike. It's come out to the edge of the area, probably 25 yards out. He knows he likes his left foot. He hits it superbly. He comes out to his left-hand side. It's a nice height. It was a great save. But Henderson's hurt in the process, and they look a little bit concerned that he's not going to be able to carry on.
They're checking for the penalty, though, with VAR, because there was a clumsy challenge that was... I think it was on King in the penalty area before it came to Billing. So at the minute there is a VAR check, the decision is no penalty. So the corner kick will now be taken. Swindon 1, Carlisle 1. Swindon have equalised. Preston have just bagged a third at home to Wigan in the Championship. Preston 3, Wigan 0. It's goalless. But as you say, there is the stoppage is because that Dean Henderson, the Sheffield United goalkeeper, is injured in the process for what was a fantastic save. First shot on target from Bournemouth.
The first shot, and it was a special one. You heard the supporters sing, to the Bournemouth players, come on Bournemouth, and that's what they did. It gave them that little bit of a lift, a wonderful strike, but now we could see the change in Dean Henderson, so this could now take a while, but will we see some substitutions shortly?
Well, I think there is activity on the bench of Sheffield United. Ollie McBurney is going to be coming on their record signing. That's an attacking change. That tells you everything you need to know about Chris Wilder. He's not content just for a point here, as Henderson is now back to his feet and the corner kick will be taken. Plymouth 1, Colchester 0 is the latest score in League 2. Fleetwood have equalised at home to Wimbledon, 1-1 in League 1. After this corner we're going to Selhurst Park. Bournemouth with the corner kick, right hand side. McBurney's just getting his final instructions. Fraser's going to take that corner on the right hand side. This should be an outswinger. Billing is a natural target. In it comes. Ake's header's off target. We tried to be kept alive on this near side by King. King on the left loses the ball, so let's go to Selhurst Park. Will Perry.
Well, two incredible Crystal Palace chances in the space of a minute. Still Palace 0, Everton 0 after it was all Everton in the first half. This game has opened up. The first one, Benteke playing in Jordan Ayew. He didn't look confident, tried to get it onto his right foot. It was saved well by Pickford. And then another one, Townsend playing in Meyer, who blasted it straight at Pickford and out for a corner. So Palace 0, Everton 0.
Let's quickly go to Vicarage Road because Bournemouth have got a free kick right corner of the penalty area. Quick VAR check, Sahel.
Yeah, very quickly, Ian. Still Watford 0, Brighton 1. First VAR check of the afternoon. Pereira free kick, hit Glenn Murray. They said it hit his hand. Referee went for a VAR check. VAR said no penalty. Watford 0, Brighton 1.
Thank you, Sahel. So Bournemouth now with this threatening free kick. 0-0 here. BBC Radio 5 Live. 2 more live commentaries tomorrow on 5 Live Premier League Sunday. But Fraser is going to take it as it's placed down. He quickly lifts it towards the far post, towards Billing. Billing with a downward header. Ake goes for the acrobatic effort. Good save by the goalkeeper. Comes out to Mepham, and Chris Mepham scores. It's his first goal for the club. And from close range, they had a couple of stabs at it, but Bournemouth have finally taken the lead with only their second effort really on goal to break the hearts of Sheffield United. 1-0 to the home team. Scruffy goal.
Well, it was a scruffy goal, but it was well worked. It was a free kick round to the back post. Henderson, it was Ake, and Henderson initially gets a good save on it, a great strong hand. It falls into the path of Mepham. He's never going to miss from there and slots it past for the delight of all the home supporters.
Billing had a go. Wilson missed it before it came to Mepham, and inside the 6-yard area, right-footed, he lashed the ball in. Henderson had actually made an initial save because Wilson didn't get a touch, and he required a one-handed save from Dean Henderson. Now this change was already going to be happening before the goal had been conceded, but McBurney has come on, and the player who's gone off is David McGoldrick. So Ollie McBurney making his Premier League debut, the Scottish international, replacing McGoldrick for Sheffield United, who now find themselves behind here against Bournemouth. And there's been a goal in the South Yorkshire derby at Hillsborough. Lucy Ward.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Barnsley 0. Great work from Kieran Lee. The ball fell to Stephen Fletcher, who coolly slotted the ball past Radlinger from the edge of the area. The place is rocky. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Barnsley 0.
West Bromwich Albion have just taken the lead as well against Millwall at the Hawthorns in the Championship. West Brom 1, Millwall 0. So Chris Mepham's goal after 62 minutes, and you think that only 3 minutes before they'd managed to create their first effort on target. How will Sheffield United respond to the unforgiving demands of the Premier League, despite being, up until that point, they'd acquitted themselves so well? Lundstrom has the effort charged down by Wilson, goes out of play for a throw. Ryan Fraser is shown a yellow card. Eddie Howe is telling him to calm down. Referee Kevin Friend had let the game flow, and before it goes out of play, that's when he decided to take action against Ryan Fraser for a late challenge. So he's booked. Adam Smith was earlier booked. There's a goal now at Watford. Sahel Sahi.
Second for Brighton. It's Watford 0, Brighton 2, and just coming on after 30 seconds, Florian Adone has scored the second. A whipped-in cross towards the near post. Adone was there unmarked, and he's made it 2-0 to Brighton.
They didn't win any of their last 9 last season in the Premier League, Brighton. They really did limp home. But Graham Potter in his first game in charge, leading 2-0. That might well be a bit of a coupon buster for a few. Palace 0, Everton 0, Burnley 0, Southampton 0 elsewhere in the top flight. And here Bournemouth lead by a goal to 0. Sheffield United in all white, playing from left to right. Now with Basham in the centre circle. And he goes back and out wide to Ender Stevens, who looks up and plays it long down that left-hand side. And up until that goal, they've been very, very vocal, the Sheffield United supporters, but their hopes have been punctured by that Mepham goal. Goal at Burnley now, Juliet Barrington.
And Burnley leads Southampton by a goal to 0. It's Ashley Barnes. The ball was played through into inside the area, fired past Angus Gunn. Wonderful scenes here because the frustration from the Burnley fans has been loud. Burnley 1, Southampton 0.
Barnes scored 13 goals last season. In fact, it was a tally match by Chris Wood, contributing almost half of their goals tally last year. And they've added, of course, to that with Jay Rodriguez. Southampton haven't won any of their last 5 visits Southampton last 5 visits to Turf Moor, and they're behind. And I mentioned Palace because there's an interesting substitution. Will Perry.
Yeah, and listen to this noise for Wilfred Zaha, the Crystal Palace faithful singing his name despite their star man wanting a move away from Selhurst Park on deadline day. He didn't get his way. He was, we thought at one stage, set to join today's opponents, Everton, but their number 11 is coming on here. And is the script written for a Zaha winner? It's Jordan Ayew is coming off. Roy Hodgson giving some final instructions to Wilfried Zaha. Well, we will have to wait and see, but wouldn't that be a story if Zaha is to get the winner this afternoon? Still Palace 0, Everton 0.
Thanks, Will. Corner kick to Sheffield United, who trail by a goal to nil. Fleck's going to take it on this near side. Sheffield United playing from left to right. Corner kick on this near side, and there was a foul there on Ake. Clear push, and that will be a free kick spotted by referee Kevin Friend.
Well, it's cheap from Sheffield United when you're trying to put them under pressure. Aaron Ramsdale, Nathan Ake don't make the foul. Callum Robinson just bumps into the goalkeeper and he lets them off. That's where there's a difficulty as a manager, is setting these set pieces up and so cheaply give the foul away.
I said in commentary it was his first goal for Bournemouth, Chris Mepham. What is he, 21, the Welsh international, signed from Brentford, £12 million last January. It's only his second senior goal for Chris Mepham as Bournemouth lead by a goal to nil. Let's dip into the Championship, one of our featured games at Derby. Aaron Paul.
Derby 0, Swansea 0, loads of possession, but we are lacking real concrete chances here. Freddie Woodman in the Swansea goal has been alert in the second half, producing a fabulous double save to deny Florian Jozefzoon and Scott Malone on the rebound, but that is pretty much it. 0-0.
We'll stay in the Championship, not just because Birmingham City, I can tell you, now lead Bristol City by a goal to nil at St Andrews, but we're going to get an update from Craven Cottage with Mike Williams.
Still Fulham 1, Blackburn 0 here as Blackburn make their first substitution of this match. Fulham have also just brought on Bobby Reid, the deadline day arrival from Cardiff. He's making his debut here. That Tom Cairney wonder goal still the difference though. That 25-yard left-footed beauty of a strike separates the teams here. Fulham 1, Blackburn 0.
Ender Stevens feeds the ball out wide. O'Connell, and it's played back, and the cross comes in. It's very, very deep, and in the end it was from Fleck on that far side, but it drifted out and behind Aaron Ramsdale's goal away to our right hand side for a goal kick. Reading have got a goal back at Hull City in the Championship. Hull City 2, Reading 1. The goal kick is taken short. McBurney looks to put pressure on Mepham. Mepham then will get the ball back and close down, and actually strikes the back of Ollie McBurney, who made his first appearance for Sheffield United in their final pre-season game last weekend. Came on as a half-time substitute when they were beaten 3-1. They lost last Saturday against Reims, the French side. By and large, played teams such as Burton and Chesterfield in the warm-up to the new season, as Bournemouth leading by a goal to nil with Rico over the halfway line coming forward, and Fraser plays the ball inside. Billing. Hasn't been easy at all for Bournemouth today. They've really had their work cut out to try and get past this Sheffield United side. Cross then from the left-hand side, stabbed away. Loose ball picked up by Lerma, controlled off the right thigh of Fraser, back to Ake. Their passing seems a little bit sharper now, a bit quicker, doesn't it, from Bournemouth?
Well, it does. I mean, when you get that goal, you put Sheffield United on the back foot.
Featured game in League Two's had another goal, Mark Webber.
It has. It's now Macclesfield 2, Leyton Orient 0. Paddy Adesemi halfway run on his own, not challenged, slotted it home. Macclesfield 2, Leyton Orient 0.
Sports Report is on its way, followed by 6:06 with Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce Ball. We'll bring you as much reaction as we possibly can during Sports Report, and then don't forget tonight, Match of the Day, back on BBC One at 10:30. Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Ian Wright. Cheltenham 1, Scunthorpe 1, so Cheltenham have equalised. And Fleetwood are leading Wimbledon by 2-1 in League One, so Fleetwood have come from behind now. Fleetwood Town 2, Wimbledon 1. Sheffield United looking for an equaliser. Want to take a throw quickly over on that far side. Norwood. Where will we go next on BBC Radio 5 Live? It's Will Perry at Selhurst Park.
Still Palace 0, Everton 0, 22 minutes to play here at Selhurst Park, and a really big chance for the visitors. How many times have I said that? Can't believe it's goalless. Richarlison, the Brazilian, edge of the box. He's just curled the shot, which is about 2 feet wide, of Gaita's left-hand post. And the man who's just come on, the number 27 for Everton, the man who cost Everton £27 million. Moise Keane, that's how we say his name, not Moise Keane. We asked him before the game. He's on the pitch with his short orange dreadlocks. box, and anyone you speak to in Juventus, Deno, and I'm sure you know this, cannot believe, anyone you speak to in Italy I should say, cannot believe that Everton have managed to sign this guy. We will see what he is made of. Palace 0, Everton 0.
Sunderland have equalised at Ipswich Town 1-1 at Portman Road. Will stay in League One. Adam Cottier watching Bolton Coventry.
Bolton 0, Coventry 0. Bolton's team made up mostly of academy players. They've just made a substitution, and that substitute was given a standing ovation. The support for Bolton is unwavering today. They're perhaps slightly lucky to still be level. Coventry have had 2 goals disallowed. It's Bolton 0, Coventry 0.
Baldock to take a throw for Sheffield United on this near side, the right, playing from left to right. Down the right hand side it goes. There's a goal now at Turf Moor. Juliet Farrington.
And it's an Ashley Barnes double. 2-0 now. Burnley lead. This time Barnes latching onto a cross, turns the ball past Gunn. Burnley in control here. Complete control. They lead Southampton 2-0.
Steve Cook has done well on 2 occasions in this second half, because Norwood has put 2 terrific balls in from the right. The first he headed behind for a corner, and just then while we were away at Turf Moor he put another ball in, and the game was dealt with effectively by Steve Cook.
It was great positioning, Deno, just in that area where Norwood knows, he watches in the striker knows he's going to deliver into the corridor between the penalty spot and the 6-yard area, fizzes it across. Well played, Steve Cook, be in the right place.
Only the 10th season in Bournemouth's 121-year history that they've actually played higher than the 3rd tier of English football, and they are now looking to continuing to establish themselves in the top flight, leading by a goal to 0 against Sheffield United. Swindon have now taken the lead. Swindon Town 2, Carlisle United 1 is a latest score at the county ground, as Baldock, right hand side, feeds it back to Lundstrom, level the penalty area just in from the touchline. Basham forward. This is a centre back in the penalty area, very attacking, very expansive. Sheffield United, he said before that they might have to tweak it, they might just have to adapt their game ever so slightly, but as they search for an equaliser, Sheffield United are continuing to play a very attractive brand of football. Rochdale 1, Doncaster Rovers 0 is the latest score from Scotland. Rochdale in League One, 1-0 up. Back it is with O'Connell, all the way back to Henderson. I mean, Basham here has stayed forward. He's almost playing as a right winger.
Well, they're going for it now. Sheffield United decided we're going to go and try and score a goal, so there will be opportunities and space for Bournemouth, but full credit to Sheffield United. They've been excellent. They're trying to make things happen.
McBurney was almost in, but once again the dependable figure of Steve Cook dealt with it, sliding in at the heart of that Bournemouth defence to guide the ball back to Aaron Ramsdale. Cheltenham Town 2, Scunthorpe United 1, so Cheltenham have come from behind there to lead in League 2. BBC Radio 5 Live. Burnley leading Southampton 2-0. Crystal Palace with Zaha on, off the bench against Everton, 0-0. And Watford 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 2. There'll be updates of Tottenham, Aston Villa, Intersports Report and 6:06. They're both on the way on BBC Radio 5 Live, as Basham puts the ball back out to where it came from over on that far side, and Wilson lets it run out of play for a throw. We are 16 minutes remaining of normal time. We'll be going through bringing you all the latest scores in the various divisions, as there's going to be another change by Chris Wilder. There is activity down below on the Sheffield United bench as they look for an equaliser to try and wipe out that Chris Mepham goal, as Bournemouth have a throw once more right down by the corner flag over on that far side. And it's going to be Luke Freeman who's going to be coming on. He signed from Queen's Park Rangers. What was it, about 10 players they brought in the close season. 27-year-old. As there was a foul there, and Bournemouth are going to get themselves a free kick level with the penalty area. Cheltenham have got a 3rd goal now against Scunthorpe United. Cheltenham 3, Scunthorpe 1. Mentioned that Bournemouth last season opened up with victory against a promoted side in Cardiff. They left it late, the 90th minute, with Callum Wilson in a 2-0 victory against Neil Warnock's side. Of course, former Sheffield United manager, your old manager Michael Brown. And they're looking for a 2nd goal here to secure the 3 points. It's a free kick, it's level the penalty area, and once again it was a free kick in the build-up to the goal. Placed down, Fraser's going to take it, no, yes, stop-start, eventually Fraser delivers it again towards Billing. natural aerial target. It's hooked acrobatically. Goal was on the edge of the area from Steve Cook, and it is picked up there by Dean Henderson. Let's get the team news. Tottenham, Aston Villa, John Akers.
Spurs fans will see a new signing today, and Ndombele starts after signing from Lyon in midfield. Rose also plays at left back for Spurs, and Eriksen is only on the bench. 4 debuts for Villa: Trezeguet, Wesley, Engels and Tom Heaton in goal.
Thank you, John. Updates into Sports Report as McBurney uses his strength to hold off Billing, plays the ball out towards Ender Stevens, then the cross forward by Norwood, cleared then by Steve Cook inside the penalty area. There's been a goal at Vicarage Road. Sahel Sahi.
Can you believe it, Ian? It's Watford 0, Brighton 3, and Neil Maupay on his debut has opened his account for Brighton, scoring 25 goals in the Championship last season. He's opened his account in the Premier League. It's Watford 0, Brighton 3.
Bournemouth have just been awarded a corner, but there's been another goal at Turf Moor. Juliet Farrington.
And it's a third for Burnley, although the referee is talking to Southampton players, so I'm not sure if there is any form of review, because there doesn't seem to be any celebrations. But while we wait for confirmation of that, it's time. It was Goodmanson who looks to have scored their third. Chris Wood was charging in on goal. Goodmanson went for goal, hit the far corner. Burnley 3 as it stands, Southampton 0.
In comes the corner. It's been dealt with. It goes back to the edge of the area, stabbed forward by Steve Cook, and then Rico slashes at that, and it's a wild effort. In fact, he's cleared the ground off his left foot. Southend have a goal back. Southend United 1, Blackpool 3. So in the Premier League, Burnley 3, Southampton 0, Palace 0, Everton 0, Watford 0, Brighton 3. Surprising scoreline.
Very surprising. We talked about it in the build-up, so they'll be delighted with that sort of start.
Lundstrom is coming off, John Lundstrom, and Luke Freeman is coming on. This is a lad that Arsenal once paid £200,000 for when he was at Gillingham, but didn't make any appearances at Arsenal. And I'm being told of a red card at Selhurst Park. Will Perry.
Yeah, there'll be no VAR check on this one because it's a second yellow for Morgan Schneiderlin, the Everton midfielder, who's been shown this second yellow by Jonathan Moss. Can't see who the foul was on, but it definitely was a yellow card, and Schneiderlin's going to be walking off as Everton will play the last quarter of an hour with 10 men. A good chance as well down the other end for Palace. Van Arnholt, ball across the box, looking for Benteke, who was just a couple of yards out. Would have been a tap-in. Great tackle from Luca Digne. Still 0-0.
Mansfield Town 2, Morecambe 2, and that goal stands at Turf Moor. So Burnley 3, Southampton 0. The reason I was just hesitating is that there is a VAR check for a potential red card. John Fleck was shown a yellow card for jumping into Lerma, but there'll be no red card, is it?
Not even close. I think that's when it's frustrating, when you start seeing things like that, and it's just uncalled for going for a VAR.
I mean, he's late and he does jump into him, but that's not violent conduct or anything, is it?
Not one bit. You can see he's got his eyes on the ball. He's trying to set a tone and set his presence, but never anywhere near a red card.
Portsmouth 2, Tranmere Rovers 0 is the latest score at Fratton Park. So these are the latest scores in the Championship. Birmingham 1, Bristol City 0, Cardiff 1, Luton 0, Charlton 1, Stoke City 1, Derby and Swansea's goalless. Fulham still lead Blackburn Rovers by a goal to 0. Hull City 2, Reading 1, Middlesbrough 0, Brentford 1, Preston 3, Wigan 0, QPR 0, Huddersfield 1, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Barnsley 0, and West Bromwich Albion still lead Millwall by a goal to 0. Leagues 1 and League 2 to follow. In fact, Millwall have just equalised at the Hawthorns. West Brom 1, Millwall 1. Free kick taken by Cook. Doesn't get much distance on it. Sheffield United now have it with Fleck in their own half. And then they go back, and then Norwood forward to Fleck just outside the centre circle. Ball played forward. Ender Stevens nips in, cuts now inside off that left-hand side. McBurney lays it off. Norwood forward ball. Here now is Freeman. Freeman has Baldock going ahead of him. Basham on the overlap, the central defender, into the penalty area. So they've certainly committed white shirts forward. Norwood, where's the delivery? Baldock plays it forward. Freeman makes the run down towards the byline, just outside the penalty area, and it goes out of play for a throw. Charlton 2, Stoke City 1 is the latest score in the Championship. We're giving you the latest in League 1 in a moment. As from the throw, it's short. Basham gives it back to Baldock, 10 yards up from the corner flag on this near side. Sheffield United playing from left to right. Cross comes in from Freeman into Robinson. Can't control the ball. Cleared, partially cleared by Bournemouth. They're camped inside the Bournemouth half here, Sheffield United. I think they deserve an equaliser the way that they've played, just speaking as a neutral. And they win themselves a corner as well.
They've moved the ball around very, very well. Some great unselfish runs. They find them, and we mentioned the right wing back inside, which allows the right-sided centre half get all the way round, with Norwood backing up for quick deliveries.
Billy Sharp is going to be coming on. What a story that would be if Billy Sharp was to score an equaliser in the Premier League. As Fleck, as the corner is taken short, curls it in towards the far post and curls it too deep and out of play. It goes for a goal kick. So, as promised, latest scores in League One. Bolton 0, Coventry 0. Got a very young side out, has Phil Parkinson this afternoon for troubled Bolton Wanderers. That'd be an excellent point. Bristol Rovers 0, Wickham 0. Fleetwood 2, Wimbledon 1. Gillingham 1, Burton Albion 2. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1. MK Dons and Shrewsbury 0-0. Oxford 1, Peterborough 0. Portsmouth 2, Tranmere 0. Rochdale 1, Doncaster 0. Rotherham 0, Lincoln City 2. Southend United 1, Blackpool 3. And they are the latest scores in League One. League Two to follow in a moment. And it was Chris Basham who's gone off as Billy Sharp has come on to replace him. So they've now reverted to a flat back four. So Billy Sharp goes up front with Ollie McBurney. Robinson will just drop a little bit deeper now for Sheffield United. And they have, 8 minutes of normal time remaining. The VAR checks, by the way, are added on, and that is in addition to the normal stoppages that the referee allows for. So you're going to have a lot more added on time this season during games in the Premier League where VAR has been involved. Bournemouth leading 1-0. Burnley 3, Southampton 0. Crystal Palace 0, the 10 men of Everton 0. And Watford 0, Brighton 3. Robinson caught by Lerma, who turns, plays it forward, just too far ahead of Ryan Fraser. Norwood to Freeman. Freeman manages to get the ball out towards Billy Sharp. Billy Sharp keeps the ball in play. Back to Freeman. Sharp waits behind him. Baldock on the overlap. Here is Baldock now for Sheffield United. In the shadows of the main stand as the sun comes out once more. Norwood with a cross, and this time, we've been praising his delivery, this time it goes well wide and out for a goal kick. So the result in League Two from the early kick-off at Blundell Park: Grimsby 1, Bradford City 1. James Hansen with equaliser against his former side for Grimsby. Latest scores: Cambridge 0, Newport 0. Cheltenham 3, Scunthorpe 1. Crawley 2, Salford 0. Macclesfield 2, Leyton Orient 0. Mansfield 2, Morecambe 2. Oldham 1, Crewe 2. Plymouth 1, Colchester 0. Port Vale 1, Northampton 1. Stevenage 0, Exeter 0. Swindon Town 2, Carlisle United 1. Walsall 0, Forest Green Rovers 1. They are the latest scores in League Two. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. We're now going to Selhurst Park. Will Perry.
8 minutes to play here. It's still Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0. We've got Wilfred Zaha and Moise Keane on the pitch, both for Palace and for Everton, as Connor Wickham looks like he's about to make his way on. I assume this is going to be for Christian Benteke, but not long for either side to get a winner. It is for Benteke indeed. Here comes Connor Wickham. We've had so many chances at a very windy Selhurst Park, still goalless.
Sheffield United unbeaten in all three of their previous Premier League openers, 1-2 and drawn 1, but might well be slipping to a defeat here if they can't salvage something in the next 6 minutes of normal time. Trailing a slender margin by 1-0 as Fleck will chase after a ball that goes on ahead of him on that far side, but the goal scorer Mepham will beat him in that foot chase. Doesn't go back to goal though, sees his effort close down, falls to Sharp, pulls it back, it's gone out of play. Sharp couldn't keep the ball in play. The assistant referee on this near side raised his flag, and therefore it will be a goal kick to Bournemouth, who's still 1-0 up.
Mepham took a big chance. Full credit to John Fleck. He didn't give it up. He kept charging. There's that man, Billy Sharp. He was poaching in around the goalkeeper, but he just ran out of play on the byline. Brilliant pressure yet again. They've had to change now, bringing on Billy Sharp. They've gone to a back four, which is a little bit unusual for them, with a diamond, with Ollie Norwood just in front of the back four, trying to orchestrate things and get things moving.
Macclesfield Town have got another goal, and news of it with Mark Webber.
They have indeed. It's Macclesfield 3, Leyton Orient 0. Theo Vassell jumping up in a crowded area to head home. Macclesfield 3, Leyton Orient 0.
Still Bournemouth leading by 1-0. Carlisle are now down to 10 men. Carroll has been sent off for serious foul play. And Carlisle United in League Two Where were they there? 2-1 down still at Swindon. So they're now down to 10 men as they trail by 2-1. Another goal at Craven Cottage, Mike Williams.
Alexander Mitrovic off and running for the campaign. He's doubled Fulham's lead here. It's Fulham 2, Blackburn 0. All the hard work done by Joe Bryan, the midfielder. He tricked his way into the Blackburn box, danced around the defenders, sent the ball across. The Blackburn keeper could only get a hand to it, parried it out into the path of the on-rushing Mitrovic, who tapped home for 2-0. Fulham 2, Blackburn 0.
St Johnstone 2, Livingston 2 is a full-time score in the Scottish Premiership. Earlier Celtic beat Motherwell 5-2. Latest scores: Hamilton 2-0 up against Kilmarnock, Hearts 0, Ross County 0. Bournemouth here in the Premier League, leading by a 1-0, but it's Sheffield United, the new boys, who are pressing for an equaliser. Sharp looked like he'd been pushed there on the edge of the area. Norwood dives in to help win it back in the midway through the Bournemouth half to the bearded McBurney, fair-haired striker, signed from Swansea City, Scottish international. Robinson loses out to Billing, and Billing then just plays it forward. King, nice little turn. Robinson comes back to help out. There is that desire to win the ball back by Sheffield United. Norwood strokes it forward, dragged into the path of Egan by McBurney. So another central defender decides to venture forward as O'Connell and Basham stay back. And now they get themselves a free kick. There's a little bit of rubbish that has been said before in commentary. So much debris is blowing onto the playing surface. It's actually tossed aside there by Baldock. But this is a free kick in a good position for Sheffield United, Michael Brown.
Yeah, it's a great position for them. They've been brilliant the last 10 minutes or so, Sheffield United. They keep the onslaught. They're all on the front foot, winning possession very quickly. Bournemouth need to do something about this because they're on the back foot.
Charlton 3, Stoke City 1. Bristol City have equalised at St Andrews. Birmingham 1, Bristol City 1. Free kick to Sheffield United. Just under 30 yards out from goal. Norwood plays it short. Baldock, right hand side of the penalty area, cuts it back. McBurney strikes his own player, and Billy Sharp! Oh, would you believe it? Billy Sharp of all people! It's a dream come true for Billy Sharp as he scores the goal that might well give Sheffield United a precious point on their return to the big time. Billy Sharp with the equaliser from close range. He pounced, and they deserve it. Made no mistake, they deserve it. Bournemouth 1, Sheffield United 1.
Magnificent scenes. Billy Sharp, he's Sheffield United through and through. Kissing the badge now, running to the crowd. He was desperate for that goal. It was a brilliant, well-worked free kick. They caught Bournemouth napping down the right-hand side. It was fizzed across the box. There was a ricochet, and that's where Billy's at his best, in the middle of the goal. Strokes it home and runs off celebrating. So all the away supporters.
You think what he's achieved in his Sheffield United career during the various spells. 24 goals last season, but I bet he dreamt about that. And for Sheffield United and their travelling support, they are absolutely cock-a-hoop on the far side. Bristol City have equalised. Birmingham 1, Bristol City 1. Luton have got themselves an equaliser. Cardiff 1, Luton 1. But for Billy Sharp to pop up in the 88th minute. But speaking as a neutral, we said they deserve it. The way that they have played, they have been superb today, Sheffield United.
They've been very impressive. They started the game well. It was a great opportunity. And Bournemouth, yes, they've controlled possession, but Sheffield United were patient. And then as the second half's growing, they've been brave. They've made extra substitutions. They've changed their system. They've kept moving the ball around. And full credit to them. But I've got to say, Bournemouth, we could see the free kick. I'm pointing where the danger was, Deno, in the build-up to it. They don't even stop it, and they deserve all they get.
Change has been made by Bournemouth. Dominic Solanke has replaced Callum Wilson, the England international. He scored 15 goals last season. Hasn't really looked... Well, he actually had an effort in the build-up to the goal that led to Chris Mepham scoring for Bournemouth, but that's been about it for Callum Wilson. So Dominic Solanke comes on to replace him, but how long have we got? We're inside the last few seconds of the regulation 90. We'll find out how much added on time there will be. So Bournemouth 1, Sheffield United 1. Burnley 3, Southampton 0. Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0. Everton are down to 10 men. And Watford 0, Brighton 3. 4 minutes of added on time, which we're now into. Here at the Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth are looking for a penalty there. That will surely have to go to VAR, will it? Referee Kevin Friend says no. You can see the expectation, and then everybody looks to the big screen as well, as it was King who looked like he'd been bundled over. It was with John Egan. Play is already back underway. It wasn't even checked by VAR. 1-1. Smith launches the ball long, headed on by Josh King, looking towards Solanke, cleared away by Sheffield United. We'll bring you all the reaction as we can in Sports Report. Before 6:06, direct free kick is awarded to Bournemouth just outside the penalty area. Stevenage 0, Exeter 1. Late goal for Exeter at Broadhall Way in League 2. BBC Radio 5 Live. And this free kick is very, very dangerous. Sheffield United now, who've worked so hard to get themselves back on level terms, have everybody back, all in white. As we look across to our left-hand side, Fraser places the ball down. It's just outside the penalty area, and Fraser eyeing it up in the red and black stripe shirts of Bournemouth. And this is where Dean Henderson has got to line up the wall. Of course, one of the other new changes this season is the fact that there are now no attacking players in a defensive wall. When you have at least 3 players in that wall, and Sheffield United have added 5. Henderson is happy. He's crouching down behind it. Fraser waits. We're in added on time. Fraser comes up now, right-footed, goes for the chipped effort over the crossbar, and the cheers from the travelling support will tell you that they are happy with that, as QPR have got a late equaliser at Loftus Road. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Huddersfield Town 1. Michael Brown.
There's a huge sigh of relief. I'm looking along the line and thinking, is this going to be cruel again to Sheffield United? But what they did is, in all the excitement, they wanted someone to bring the ball down. You can see it's the first game in the Premier League, the bit of composure that they've shown. If they can do that now in the next couple of minutes, they hopefully will see the game through.
Said before that they are unbeaten in all of their Premier League openers. It could well be winning 2, drawing 2 for the Blades, as Swindon Town 3, Carlisle United 1 is the latest score. Bournemouth pumped the ball long, dealt with though by the head of O'Connell, brought down by Norwood. Had a tidy game, hasn't he, in the midfield, Oliver Norwood?
He's excellent right foot, he's got great composure, brilliant there, just taking the sting out of the game.
They're thinking of winning it now. Freeman, left corner of the penalty area, Billy Sharp in close proximity. Fleck is there as well. Freeman waits. Luminous jackets of the stewards and police lining up in front of the Sheffield United supporters. A few of them did come onto the pitch when that equaliser was scored and pounced upon by Billy Sharp. As Sheffield United now with Ender Stevens into the penalty area left-hand side. Back with Freeman. Can he deliver the ball? Last touch off Freeman, that'll be a goal kick. Came back to him and he just couldn't get his legs out of the way, and it rolled out of play for a goal kick. Walsall have equalised at home to Forest Green in League 2. Walsall 1, Forest Green Rovers 1. 5 Live. The 10 men of Everton still holding on at Selhurst Park, 0-0 against Crystal Palace. This will be a drop ball because it hit the referee. So it'll be an uncontested drop ball now. That's another of the law changes. Watford 0, Brighton 3, Burnley 3, Southampton 0. But your reaction with Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce Ball in 6:06 that follows Sports Report. And I'm hoping to try and bring you a very gravelly Chris Wilder live here from the Vitality Stadium. We heard from him ahead of kick-off, and he will be absolutely delighted because Sheffield United and Chris Wilder at the full-time whistle, handshakes with Eddie Howe, deservedly have got themselves something out of this game because it's finished Bournemouth 1, Sheffield United 1. Michael Brown, what a story with Billy Sharp getting the equaliser.
Yeah, you're right to say that. He's been dreaming about that, coming on, scoring a goal in the Premier League for Sheffield United, and you know, this thoroughly deserved it. They were excellent in the second half. They tried to make things happen, unselfish runs, they controlled all of the ball and they wanted to keep putting Bournemouth on the back foot. Bournemouth were poor, you know, but full credit to Sheffield United. That's what it's about. What a wonderful ending. They were a bit apprehensive where they could have went on to win it, but full marks to Chris Wilder and his full setup and great desire from his team.
So full time here, Bournemouth 1, Sheffield United 1. And before I just hand you back to Jonathan, Carlisle United have got a goal back at Swindon. Swindon Town 3, Carlisle 2.